Hello and welcome back. In the last chapter, we went through some very important aspects of the human nature. By now, we have understood that for most normal human beings, the subconscious need and the craving for attention and the feeling of being acknowledged, appreciated, loved, respected, and being desired is possibly greater than the need of food, clothing, shelter, or money. Now it's time to see how this understanding of human nature can help us create a winning personal brand. Let's begin with acknowledging that irrespective of age, experience, or status, each one of us does have a head full of ideas, achievements, experiences, and opinions which we would love to share with people. But as we learned in the last chapter, it is very difficult to find people who are willing to listen to them or appreciate them. So ask yourself, if you found someone who listens to you patiently, with a lot of interest, without interrupting you, acknowledges and appreciates what you say, laughs wholeheartedly at all your jokes, would you not develop a fondness for such a person? Would you not look forward to associating with that person? Of course you would, and so would I. In fact, it will not be surprising if we were soon pouring our hearts out to this person and sharing our deepest thoughts and darkest secrets with him or her. So what am I suggesting? What I am suggesting is that if we learn to do something as simple as lending an ear to people from time to time and listened in full sincerity to their ideas, opinions and suggestions, it would go a long way in helping us becoming nearer and dearer to them. In any case, most of the times, most of whatever it is that we have to say is best when it is not said. Because as we've learnt earlier, in reality, people are not really interested in it anyways. So it's best not to bother wasting our precious breath. Instead, by listening to others, we give them the acknowledgement, appreciation, importance and respect that they so deeply desire. And that is why they look forward to meeting and speaking to you and working with you. And once that happens, you'll find that they'll be a lot more open and receptive to any suggestions or opinions that you have to offer. There is a Harvard study which found that 80% people would be happy spending their time speaking to a good listener, as against the 20% people who are willing to spare that time listening to a good speaker. Listen carefully. 80% people would be happy spending their time speaking to a good listener, as against 20% people who would be willing to spare their time listening to a good speaker. The reason should be quite obvious to you by now. That is why the name of the method that I suggest you use for all your future professional and personal interactions is the 80-20 method. In this method, you spend 80% of your time listening to people and 20% of it speaking to them. Now what's important is to learn how you could be only speaking 20% and still be controlling conversations and achieving your desired outcomes. After all, most of the times when we interact with someone, there is always an agenda or a specific outcome that we hope to achieve. Now let's learn how we can do this. Well, actually, it's quite simple. You ask questions, a lot of questions. A good way to open any conversation is to ask a question. A great way to be a part of a conversation without speaking a great deal is to keep asking questions. In fact, the best way to be in charge of a conversation and actually controlling its flow is to keep asking questions. There are a number of professionals who rely heavily on their ability to ask questions. Doctors ask questions to diagnose diseases. Recruiters ask questions to evaluate candidates. Police ask questions for investigating and solving crimes. Salespeople ask questions for qualifying prospects and closing sales. However, the key to being successful lies in the ability to ask the right questions. I repeat, the right questions. Broadly speaking, there are about 4 types of questions: open-ended, close-ended, probing, and leading questions. In the next chapter, we will study each type of question to understand when you should use them and what results they could produce. This chapter is going to serve as the foundation for the practical part of this program and you may keep looking up this section in a new light as you keep progressing. So let's move on to the next video.